So we've got a jam-packed show. Let's kick it off this morning and let's talk about the latest on the stimulus news. So President Biden held a town hall meeting last night. You know, he's been criticized lately, President Biden has, for not holding any press conferences, answering reporters' questions. He's had about like 4 or 5, and people are saying, hey, President Trump had a ton by this point. Of course, President Trump loved, the television cameras, but President Biden has been like sequestered away. So he does these like town halls where Anderson Cooper or Don Lemon kind of hand him stuff, very gently, like giving an old man a big bowl of soup or something. And so this is what it was last night. Anderson Cooper kind of serving up some hot soup to President Biden on the stage and asked him a couple of key questions about this infrastructure package. Number one, Joe Manchin. Like, what's going to happen with Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema? Are you going to be able to come to any kind of agreement? Because this thing is falling apart. So here is President Biden last night talking about Joe Manchin and where things stand right now with Kyrsten Sinema. Let's listen to this, and if he's going to be able to get any sort of agreement. Here is some of these softball questions.
About Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema, you seem relatively confident you can kind of get Senator Manchin on board. There's a lot of Democrats in the House and Senate who are confused about where Senator Sinema actually stands on things. And I know she's been negotiating directly with you in the White House. What is your read on her? And obviously you need her to remain positive in your direction, so I don't know what you're going to say. But what is your read on her? Do you know where she stands?
First of all, she's smart as the devil, number one.
Okay. She's smart as the devil, number one. So what does that mean? That means she's like squirrely, right? Is that how, would you say like that? Like,
oh, that's not how I read it. I thought it was like, you know how they say correct or recommend, that he's pulling that,
Like where he's giving a compliment first?
Compliment and then the recommendation and then compliment after.
I don't know. To me, it was like, wow, she's kind of wily. She's kind of sneaky.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
Also, why applaud the question? People are like, yay, we're going to talk about Kyrsten Sinema finally.
Yeah.
This is real politics they came to see.
Finally, we got an answer.
Number two, she's very supportive of the environmental agenda in my legislation.
Meanwhile, Joe Manchin is not.
Yes.
So that's a little shot at Joe Manchin.
Very supportive. She's supportive of almost all the things I mentioned relating to everything from family care to all those issues. Where she's not supportive is she says she will not raise a single penny in taxes on the corporate side and/or on wealthy people, period. And so that's where it sort of breaks down. There's a few other issues it breaks down on. But what we're trying to do is reach a point here where I'm able to present to the Senate, they're able to vote on, and the House, a serious piece of legislation that changes the dynamic for working class folks in America and middle class folks, and begins to have the very wealthy and corporate members just begin to pay their fair share.
Well, you're not going to get that. So you're not going to get that because the breaking news this morning now is that Biden has backed down on the corporate tax hikes, and he's open to altering the filibusters. So Kyrsten Sinema single-handedly basically torpedoed raising taxes on wealthy people. One senator who has been lobbyist, who's been receiving lobbyist money from these companies. She had like fundraisers just a few weeks ago raising money from these companies who are asking her to make sure that the corporate tax rate does not go up.
So but these were two different things. He had his tax proposal and he has this social spending stimulus plan,
right? We're going to raise taxes.
So what they're saying is the tax plan will be rewritten if you keep working with me on the social stimulus plan. That's what he's indicating, right? I just want to be clear because it's not completely clear what we're trading here. And again, this raising taxes on the wealthy would solve everything is a nice talking point, but it's not actually true. And it's not really what his tax proposal is trying to do. There's a lot of loopholes and tax cuts for big business. His tax plan is really raising taxes on the middle more than anybody else. So it sounds nice. There's I think wealthy people should pay more taxes in order to pay for this stuff. She doesn't think that. Well, it's not as simple as that.
Right. Another big question was about this really struck me last night. One of the audience members asked the question about why don't you just use your power of the presidency to do what Republicans have done for years, which is ram through legislation without Democrats. Like, where have you been on this? It was, I don't know, I thought it was a really good moment. Like, and the audience applauded because they're like, why are you trying to negotiate with moderates in your party? Why are you trying to negotiate with Republicans? Why don't you do what Republicans have done, which is ram through this legislation come hell or high water, like the Trump tax cuts?
Yeah.
They didn't use Democrats on that. They did it themselves through the reconciliation process. Why are you trying to dawdle with these?
And what did he say?
He said this. Let me see if I have it cued properly.
For about the filibuster. Watch this and watch his body language. Who asks why he doesn't do what Republicans do and just push his agenda through.
President Biden, I had so much faith in your election win, but based on history, the bipartisan efforts of the Democratic Party are held hostage by rogue moderates and Republicans. Why not do like the Republicans and usher through the Democratic agenda?
Well,
Good question.
Yes, fair enough.
if you notice, the Republicans haven't passed a single solitary thing. Zero. So usher through their agenda. Their agenda right now is just stop Biden.
What does that even mean? He's not. Like, that's not what he meant. The Republicans can't pass anything because they're not in power. I mean,
Right.
What are they going to pass, right? So they're not passing anything. So the question was, though, we don't care about their agenda. We elected you, Mr. President. He's saying, I had a lot of faith in you, Mr.
Yes.
President, right?
Is there more to this?
Yes, there's
Okay.
more to it.
Yes, you're right. It didn't answer the question. So be quiet and see if he gets there.
All right.
Oh, I shouldn't make it so personal. Stop my administration. That's what the agenda is. It's much easier to stop something than to start something. We're down to 4 or 5 issues, which I'm not going to negotiate on national television, as you might guess.
We'd be interested in hearing them if you want.
No, I know. But all kidding aside, I think we can get there.
So interesting. Can you imagine?
He wants to do it the nice way,
Yeah.
right? We can do this the nice way, or we can do this the hard way. I mean, I guess his
Why are you
thinking
being so
is
nice about this?
we could do it the nice way, or
Why
we
are
could do
you
it the
being like Biden on
Me?
this?
Why am I being?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for why he doesn't ram through his agenda. Why do you think he doesn't ram through his agenda?
Well, because I think he's a corporate politician, and he said to us when he was running for president, nothing would fundamentally change.
You
when
think
you
he
elect
doesn't
me.
want his own agenda?
I think he
It's lip service.
Yeah, I think he pays lip service to these things, and at the end of the day, he puts forward this idea of 3.5 trillion. And then we're not going to actually tax these businesses. He told Wall Street nothing would fundamentally change. We're not going to raise taxes. We're not going to raise corporate taxes. Don't worry about it. So he puts forth this 3.5 trillion. We're going to raise corporate taxes. And in the end, I think he knows about it.
Yes.
I think he knows that that's the case. Don't you?
Yes, and but he doesn't seem to be. Well, he said he wasn't going to run again, so he wouldn't need the money to fund another campaign. Now it seems like he is. So otherwise, why would he be so favorable to big business?
I mean, they're all.
Well,
think how much money he's made from big businesses, right, David? I mean,
Yeah,
Yes.
well, for me, it feels like, like it's like all these people have these negotiations behind our back. Like we have no idea. So Kristen Sinema, they're probably like, hey, if you're the fall person for this agenda, then we'll give you this position or you'll get this position after or something like that. It's like, we don't know if there's these back because it just, it's like, does it make sense that they always have somebody that's saying that they can't get it? It makes Biden look like it's not his fault. It's Sinema's fault. So they've got a scapegoat and nothing gets passed. I mean, he's talking about passing something that he said himself, nothing would fundamentally change. So he doesn't want that to pass anyway.
yeah.
He doesn't. You don't think he really wants this new tax plan? I
mean,
think he does.
I think well, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say there. I think there's a bunch of things in here that I think he kowtowed to progressives to stick in here. I think there's climate provisions that he's not game on, certainly from a business perspective. I think he probably even more agrees with some of the stuff that Joe Manchin agrees with when it comes to fossil fuel companies. I wouldn't be surprised. They've donated a lot of money to his campaign over the years. Over the past 2 years, Exxon, these other companies have. So, I'm not surprised. You pay lip service to it, and then you make other people look like the bad guy. It's like good cop, bad cop.
Well,
Yes.
the thing
That's
is,
how
they're
politics
trying to
works.
find. They're talking about finding these ways to give themselves more money while people are still suffering from a pandemic. Like it's like helping the people has gone completely. Like it's not even an issue anymore. The pandemic's over. People are on their own. They're still focused on how can we get more money to us by taxing people or by this $600 thing tracking. Like how can we get more money? They're not worried about. You know what I mean? Like if they were actually concerned, they would still be negotiating something for the people.
It's kind of a page out of the Obama administration playbook. And when the Obama administration introduced the Affordable Care Act, their strategy was throw in the kitchen sink and then start taking things back so at least you have something that is a little bit different than what we had before. And that is exactly what happened. They wanted a lot of things in the Obamacare bill that they had to take out, right? And what they were left with was something that did in fact insure a lot of people. Still, the insurance industry and the medical care industry is a mess, right? So it's like it didn't really solve anything that it was meant to. It's not socialized medicine. It's not even like fair priced medicine for all, but more people are eligible to be covered because they were able to at least get the pre-existing condition off the table, out of the law, right? And so maybe it's just like whatever he wants there is a small fraction of what he's putting forth, and he thinks that if he just like continues to whittle, then this is the way Obama always said he governed, is just continue to negotiate until you get just a small fraction, because not every president can make big changes. That was their thing.
I get it, but he was also president with a split Congress.
Yes.
And so you have President Biden who runs the show. He is the president. He is a Democratic president with a Democratic House of Representatives.
And he should, in theory, have nothing to lose if he's not going to run again, right?
Do you remember during the Georgia runoffs where they were like, look, if you guys vote Democrat, you'll get the $2,000 checks and we will have all the power. We won't need Republicans to pass anything. That was the narrative that they were pushing.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a mandate. We have a mandate to get this done. So I like that gentleman's question, like, why won't you ram this through? Like, and why are you waiting on this filibuster? That was one of the next questions that came up, was around the filibuster. Mm-hmm. And he said he's open to basically changing it. So I think you're going to see a change to the filibuster, which, hallelujah, get rid of this thing. And I think this is exciting. Look, it's going to come back to bite Democrats eventually, but hey, this thing should be done with. We don't get anything done. We need to fix the Senate, and that's one way to do it. The Senate is where legislation goes to die. Something else happened last night during the town hall. This is it's been trending today because people are saying, look, here, Biden doesn't know where he is again. He's had one of those senior moments on stage, and he sort of stumbled when you've got two ports right now that are causing this huge bottlenecks for the supply chain issues, yes. Right? You've got the Los Angeles port and you've got the Long Beach port. Those are the two that's where, if you're president of the United States, you don't forget those. Well, he had a little problem here last night with this. Watch.
Products coming into the United States of America on the West Coast go through Los Angeles and what am I doing here?
Is it Long Beach?
Long Beach, thank you.
About that, just in terms of inflation, because
people are like, what is he doing with his hands, Ricky Bobby?
What?
It's just like, I don't know.
That's nothing.
I know. But anyway, so what am I doing here? But that's his way of saying, like, I would go easy on him on this. He's like, what am I doing here? What exactly, like,
you
what do
would
I
have
mean?
to look very hard in
like
our own show to find us saying the same thing, looking for a word, forgetting something on the tip of our tongue.
That's what I'm saying. I'm defending him.
Yeah.
And I think of my father, who would often say something like that when he couldn't free. He's like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
So, but people are jumping all over this to say that, that's a senior moment. Okay.
We are absolutely not getting on that bandwagon. That is a normal thing to do. Young people do it. I do it.
But I think mental decline in your president is fair game to talk about. And if there are members of his administration, that's absolutely fair game to have a discussion about.
Okay. I mean,
the same thing that it was under President Trump.
Yes. Okay, totally fine. But, Trump spoke in circles all the time, never really could figure out where he was going towards the end of a sentence, but he had like a general idea of what he wanted to say. He knew his hits, right?
Yeah.
These are well-rehearsed lines from the president, but he's also in front of a large audience that's televised. I don't think that this is a sign of cognitive decline. Maybe there are others, but this is not.
There are some that are oops.
What's that?
Turn off your echo
Sorry.
for David.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
There are some that are like, if you heard, you'd be like, okay, this is worrisome. Because he's like, he's like spaghetti sentence, like from the front of the end to the end, it makes zero sense. Kind of like where he didn't even answer that guy's question. He kind of like just word saladed his way out of it.
Yes, but that was political speak, I think. And I think he's well rehearsed at that kind of thing, too.
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's fair to talk about the president of the United States, and if members of his administration say that there's like cognitive decline, that's a concern to the United States. That's a concern to it, right? He's
well, and the thing is, like when you have not only the United States but the world listening, you can't be having things like you can have moments where you flub up or whatever, but they can't be this consistent and they can't be this bad. Like some of the things I've seen him say, like it literally makes zero sense from start to finish. Oops, that one.
Oh, sorry.
He talks in a lot of sentence fragments as well.
Right.
He starts a sentence and then goes off in a different direction. But you don't have to scrub the tape very far back to realize he did this during the Obama years too.
Well, at least on this show, we never make any mistakes, and we are very erudite.
Yes.
Ooh, nice.
I have a
word.
great lexicon.
Right. We never make mistakes. We never, ever screw things up, right? That's the thing. Channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.